Oh, hey, Tony from Hack the Movies here. Kind of in the middle of something. While I wait to see how this turns out, let's talk about King Kong. Coming out this month is Kong Skull Island, the second entry in Legendary's Monsterverse. It's not the first Kong movie they've ever made, though. Back in 2005, they produced Peter Jackson's definitive take on the eighth wonder of the world. It's one of my favorite movies. It expands on what I love about the original, and the visual effects help bring Kong to life in a way that the original couldn't. It's got breathtaking action and an amazing musical score. The movie isn't without its flaws. It is a little too long, and it has this Jimmy subplot that goes nowhere really. The effects are either spot on or really cheesy. At the end of the day though, the good outweigh the bad, and it's not surprising that they eventually made a game based off this movie. And that's why we're here today. Let's find out if Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie, is just like the movie. A game based off this movie is actually a really great idea. Off the top of my head, I can think of several scenes from the film that could be great levels. Fighting the natives, the stampede scene, Kong fights the T-Rex, Kong fights the bats, the bug pit, and of course, rampaging in New York. And that's just the theatrical cut. There could easily be levels based off deleted scenes of the crew fighting the Triceratops or the big eel thing in the swamp. Let's see what the game did. So as expected, the game skips all the character building stuff from the first part of the movie, and right away things look promising. Then you fight some crabs, then centipedes, then scorpions from a deleted scene. This all happens before Anne gets captured. You never even fight the natives as Jack. That's when it hits you. Instead of making the level based off the bug pit, they just littered the entire game with bugs. The bugs really only had one big scene and a few minor ones. This game also suggests that the ship had a seaplane the entire time. I know this is just to give a realistic explanation for why you find ammo all over the island, but I feel like a seaplane could have solved a lot of shit in that movie. Anyways, one positive is we don't have to wait a million hours to get to Kong. I guess this is a good time to talk about the look of the game. It's spot on. Peter Jackson and his crew were clearly involved from early on because Skull Island looks exactly like the one in his film. The characters look and sound like the actual actors who play them, which makes sense since the cast voiced the game. Sure, the graphics are dated now, but it's pretty damn good. Except for Kong. A lot of you might not know this, or care to know this, but Kong was redesigned in post-production. Earlier trailers and posters have him looking like this, where of course he ended up looking like this. I guess the people making the game just didn't get the memo. So yeah, most of the game just focuses on the reuniting with Anne plot. And along the way, you also have to save Jimmy, aka the one subplot of the movie I could do without. The Jack levels are kind of repetitive and not really based off anything he did in the movie. He faces off several T-Rexes, which he never did in the film. As a matter of fact, he didn't really do much with a gun in that film. But this game makes him out to be Turok boring dinosaur hunter. Eventually in the game, you get to the stampede scene, and it's a total letdown. What should be a fun, intense, fast-paced chase where you weave in and out of danger just turns out to be 10 minutes of you walking slowly, hiding behind a rock, and then lighting some bushes on fire. There's so much bush burning in this game. I've mostly been focusing on Jack's levels. Let's switch it up and see what Kong's levels are like. Well, he moves and acts a lot like the film's Kong, but he's a bit more agile. His levels are basically just the scenes where he fights the T-Rex and the bats. The T-Rex fight goes on forever, which I guess is a point in favor when comparing it to the movie. It is weird though that the bat fight comes before the triple threat match with the Tyrannosaurus. And there's also a level where he, not the ship's crew, fights the weird eel thing from the deleted scenes. After that, he wrecks the natives' village, looking for Anne, just like in the film. This time, though, the natives are actually present, whereas the film, they completely disappeared. Also, Hayes dies later, and in a completely different way than the film. In the movie, Kong kills him during the log scene. In the game, he gets trampled by a T-Rex after Anne calls Kong like he's fucking Batman or something. Seriously, she lights a signal and everything.
Kong! Kong! He's coming! Hang on!
Anne! Get back down! Get to safety! You'll be killed!
The game then accurately depicts Kong's capture and then shifts focus from Skull Island to New York. Now this is upsetting. They couldn't put Kong in a theater? He's just out in the street? This is worse than the 70s King Kong remake where he was in a gas station parking lot or something. I really thought this level was going to be Kong chasing Jack like he did in the film, but it's just you fighting the army over and over again until you climb the Empire State Building. I do appreciate this part in the game though. Kong is forced to fight the planes in a similar fashion to how he fought the bats earlier in the game. Sadly, like the movie, no matter what Kong does in the end, the airplanes will get him. Unless you replay the game and get over 250,000 points. Then you can get in an airplane, murder members of the US Air Force, and take Kong back home. So that's Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie. Aesthetically, it's on par with the film. The music, while it's not James Newton Howard's score, is close enough. The character models and voice acting are great because it is the actual cast from the film. The game's story does focus on only a few of the film's plots, and it jumbles up the order of some of the scenes, but why not? Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie, is just like the movie. Let me know if you'd like me to compare other games to the movies that they're based on in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I have to go now. Bye, King Kong. Bye. Bye.